So yesterday morning I came down to the garage to visit my bike, like I do sometimes, and I found this underneath him. It's a little puddle of oil. He's never leaked oil before. I did check around the drain plug and around the oil filter, and there's no leaking there. But when you take a look at the crud that builds up in the oil cooler guard that I have on him, and I know for at least one other owner, the finer, smaller particles make it through the guard and build up between the guard and the oil cooler itself. And my fear is that that has caused some abrasion or damage to the oil cooler, and that is potentially the cause of the leak. Now, this is not a video I had planned to make, and probably not a video you want to be in a situation where you need to watch. But if you are curious about the cause of this and how I get it fixed, then stay tuned. So there is a fair amount of oil and road crud inside the bottom of the fairings, very juicy there. And as I started undoing the factory, what would you call it, like a deflector, I guess, or the kind of the factory oil cooler guard, you can just see how much stuff is falling out. So I'll finish doing that and get the EvoTech oil cooler guard out. So some of the smaller bits of stone do push their way through the guard. This one's sort of firmly in there. That could have been rubbing. Not as much as I expected though, and certainly not as much as the other owner showed on his. As far as an obvious oil leak, I can't really see any wet areas coming down the front of the oil cooler. And if it's not the oil cooler, I guess I'm partly relieved, but then worried about what it could be. But anyway, it's an opportunity to clean that out properly because there's definitely crud building up in the lower cores there. I've taken the servo motor heat shroud off just to get a better view in there. But from every angle, the oil cooler actually doesn't look like it's got any oil sprayed on it. What I have found though is that I think that is the feed of oil to the oil cooler. This one's the return. This seems to have a whole lot of oil dripping off the bottom of it. And when we go around to the left side of the bike, it's hard to get you in there, but it's quite juicy just behind that connector there. I think my plan of attack is going to be to clean off the oil. Just check if any of the fittings there are loose. And then start the bike, I guess, and see if any oil comes out. That looks pretty clean now. So what I reckon I'm starting to see is some oil starting to seep out just at that bottom nut. So when it cools down, I'll check how tight that fitting is. So he's super grubby from riding home in the rain. He's also sprayed with a dilution of engine oil. And the reason for that is he had a minor oil leak, which one of the coaches picked up after the first session on the track. He said he saw a little puff of smoke coming out from the bike after a couple of corners, and I had a look underneath there, and yeah, there was oil kind of dripping down under where the fairings join there, and I could see some seepage out of this. So Brett, super mechanic from Moto Garage, he pulled the fairing off and had a look, and yeah, sure enough, he felt that nut was a little bit loose, so tightened it up and it didn't leak again, which is great. I've had that issue before, which has kind of left me befuddled, because I'd clean it up to wait for it to leak again to figure out where it was coming from, but then it just wouldn't leak again. So it's good to have that sorted.